program is intended for mature audiences.
What's going on, people?
Welcome. What are you selling?
The UKNJ Project Movie Reviews.
I'm BCHQ. This channel is just about authenticity.
Cool story, bro.
And Jack of one trade.
Uh-oh, retard alert!
I don't like shit, and I'm honest. I'm not a fucking hater, there's a difference.
The views, information, and opinions expressed by BC, HQ and Jack of One Trade do not reflect those of any other podcaster, YouTuber, or production company.
We discuss different things about life and subjects.
Neither of us are exactly tech savvy, and, I'm slow in the uptake as it is.
Past broadcasts include Ong Bak, The Sunset Limited, Chinese Hercules, Bloodsport, Taoist Master, Hitman, 2007.
You need to go to this channel, subscribe to it.
Follow the show at UKNJ Project on Twitter and Instagram. This message will self-destruct in 5, 4, 3, 2.
It's not my fault this week. Woo! I was just going to say the show's going to be a bit different today because we're not doing an actual film review today. We're just doing a random, what do you call it? Chat in a breeze. Partly my fault because Jack did suggest a film for us to do, but I'd seen it not too long ago and I was like, I really can't be bothered to rewatch it just to do a proper breakdown. And because we only spoke about it a couple of days ago, we haven't had a lot of prep time to get another movie in anyway. So we were just like, should we just do a general video? So today's one is just going to be not a film review, but just about life or whatever we decide to go into. And then next week there'll be the Halloween upload.
We know your time is valuable. Thank you for holding. Someone will be with you as soon as possible.
I think I'm about a fucking moron, dude. Because I just unmuted my microphone in OBS. And it's picking it up, so I honestly, in my defense, I thought if I unmuted my microphone that it would fuck up this broadcast, but clearly it hasn't.
We'll give it time anyway. It might in a bit.
Yeah. So I was thinking about oh, fuck me. Well, we just lost the beginning of this. We'll start over. Alright, now we're starting from here. I just wrecked the audio, so forgive me. Look, neither of us are exactly tech savvy, and, I'm slow in the uptake as it is. So, you gotta work with us here. We're pre-recording this show today, because it's easier to do it this way because we didn't have, BC just said a minute ago, we didn't have a whole lot of prep time to get this together. I recently watched The Clove Hitch Killer, and I suggested that, but he had seen it not long ago, so why bother watching the same thing again?
I've seen it quite recently, but not enough to fully break the film down, and I thought, I don't really want to rewatch it so quick again because I kind of remember bits of it, and it's just I don't know, it just felt like a bit of a waste of time because I know certain scenes in my head.
See
about without watching it, but then I'm thinking I'm not gonna have as many notes in that as I usually would have because I can't remember a lot of the other bits. Do you know what I mean?
What they need something that's like a trailer, except for people who have already seen the movie and just want to be like, I don't have time to sit and watch it, but I'm thinking about this film and I want to bring it up to a friend of mine to recommend it. They need a short I almost said a DVD, but they need like a thing that's almost, it's a trailer, except it will break down the entire movie for you with spoilers and plot lines and everything. That would be great for people that are going, you know, well, if you're not really into Harry Potter, here is the whole thing. Like, I'm not. I fall asleep during that fucking movie. But what do you remember about that film? Because I just watched it a couple of days ago, and I don't... This is not a movie I think you really would have had to rewatch anyway, because there's not really a whole lot going on.
I don't know if I watched the film first, or because it was based on a true story, and I watched like a documentary on YouTube about the real one.
BTK, yep.
Yeah, and I couldn't remember what way, like what order I watched it in, but from the film I remember like the kid, like these murders and that were happening, and then the kid and like his neighbor, I think it was, got like suspicious, and then I don't know. It's hard to do it without putting spoilers in it, isn't it? Should I just?
Well, yeah, you can. You know what? We're gonna spoil this because there's also a show on Netflix that I want to bring up that's related to this. I'm not sure if you've ever seen it, and I'm very upset with Netflix for the way that they're doing this fucking show. But it's called Mindhunter. You seen it?
Not heard of it. No, not even seen like a clip or nothing.
Oh my god, you're into horror, dude. This Mindhunter, if you have Netflix, is a show that is basically, it follows the beginning of serial killer investigations in the FBI. I don't know how much do you know about how did that come about, the behavioral science unit in the FBI and all that stuff?
I watched the Ed Kemper documentary on Netflix.
Yeah.
And they said that, I don't know if it's the same thing, but like they changed how they looked at criminals and that, because they used him and he was giving them like the thoughts of from the side of a serial killer, and they said that they changed their whole setup.
Yeah.
Because of him, basically.
It's fucking nuts, dude. The one guy, basically, nobody believed in it. They all thought that psychology was nonsense. Hostage negotiation is the only useful thing that you really have. But through trial and error, actually through them meeting Ed Kemper and him really talking to them, they started to notice that all these people had one thing in common. Or, you know, several things in common when it came to, say, for example, stalking their prey, you know, is it for lack of a better term. But they created this whole wing of the FBI just off of that alone, and that's what the show is about. I'm doing a terrible job of explaining it, but I'll pull it up in a second because I want to go run and grab it.
Off of the Ed Kemper thing?
Well, he's only a small piece of it. This show focuses in on the dude who basically made the program. Matter of fact, let me pull it up because I don't want to keep on ruining this damn thing. Even though I'm very, like I said, really upset with Netflix for, like, we're waiting for fucking season 3, bro. I don't know what the fuck are you doing? Of course it's over. Of course it's over. Why wouldn't it be? What bullshit low viewership, bro? What are you, crazy? Alright, let me stop. Dude, the fuck out of here, low viewership. I don't know who's doing the numbers over at Netflix, but everybody that I know was watching this show. Well, I don't know that many people. Okay, so here's the one. Catching a criminal often requires the authorities to get inside the villain's mind to figure out how he thinks. That's the job of an FBI agent, Holden Ford and Bill Tench. They attempted to understand and catch serial killers by studying their damaged psyches. Along the way, the agents pioneered the development of modern serial killer profiling. The crime drama has a strong pedigree behind the camera with Oscar-nominated director David Fincher and a couple of other people, which is not the selling point of the show. The selling point of the fucking show is the fact that... Oh, wait, is there a trailer? Is there a trailer? I would love to show you a trailer. That would be great. Yes, because this is stuff... Most of this stuff, I think, is based on true shit. Okay, you can hear that?
Yeah.
It's not easy butchering people. It's
Okay.
hard work. Physically and mentally, I don't...
Alright, hold on. Let me make this wider. Bring it back a little bit. And I'll turn it up.
It's not easy butchering people. It's hard work. Physically and mentally, I don't think people realize you need to vent.
You know, there's a lot more like me. Do you think so?
40 years ago, your FBI was founded hunting down John Dillinger. Now, we have extreme violence between strangers.
We travel around the country and teach FBI techniques to cops.
You guys mind if I bother you for a minute?
She was found cuffed and lashed to the bed.
What people won't do to each other. There's nothing people won't do.
How can we help? We should be using every resource we can. Talking to the smartest people we find from the broadest possible spectrum.
Are criminals born? Or are they formed?
Psychopaths are convinced that there's nothing wrong with them, so these men are virtually impossible to study. Yet you have found a way in near-perfect laboratory conditions.
Hello, ladies.
That's what makes this so exciting and potentially so far-reaching.
I can't let these guys rub off on me. The way they view sex.
And women.
It is not our job to commiserate with these people. It is our job to electrocute them.
We can't like everything we do. We're talking to serial killers.
Serial killers.
New terminology.
I'm trying to warn you, your attitude is gonna bite you in the ass.
So young to be ruining people's lives. What did you do?
You're developing a pattern of behavior that will not sustain you here. Agent Ford, if you leave, I can't help you.
There's no procedural rule book for how to talk to these people.
If any of this is gonna work, we need to talk to more subjects.
You want truffles? You gotta get in the dirt with the pigs.
How do we get ahead of crazy if we don't know how crazy thinks?
Yeah, it definitely looks interesting. Especially the scenes where they're interviewing like the serial killers. I don't know, other than in the other scenes, it's going to be a bit slow. But
okay. Now I don't feel like a little kid trying to see over the steering wheel. Because this recliner, you know, you sink into it. But I'm not sure what that clip showed you, but they go to these prisons and they interview these guys. So, you know,
I think it looks like interesting. I'm just not sure if it's going to be a bit slow in between.
Yeah, it's
like,
a very...
when they're not interviewing him, like the other scenes and that's the only concern I've got. But
yeah, it's a really slow burn. Like it's tough to it's tough to maintain while you're watching it, at least in the beginning. For the very opening will be like, holy shit, but then after that it slows down significantly, which is kind of annoying, but you need that to build the story and all that, blah blah blah. It's a good show. The reason why I bring it up is because a theme throughout this show, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen it, which I'm not gonna get into the whole thing of what they do, even though they're all based off of true stories, so technically you can't spoil something that actually has happened. But fuck. Never mind, I remember. BTK was a theme throughout this entire show. And what I mean by that is, while they were going through all these other killers, at some point they decided to almost promote the fact that they were gonna do an episode on this guy, because they would show this character dressing himself in women's clothes and bondage in himself, and then or sneaking into a person's house, and then the camera would cut and the episode would be over. And, you know, if you go online, you read the shit, and they're like, well, yeah, the BTK is supposed to be the 3rd season. That's how they're going to open it up. And they did all this build-up and never went into it. I mean, I personally think that Season 2, the last episode, wasn't great the way that they did it. They relied too heavily on trying to promote something I guess they never had any fucking plans on making. This is the one thing that really pisses me off about television, whether it was cable then or it's Netflix now, whatever it is. Oh, there's not enough views on shit. How big is your platform, dude? Give people a chance. Like, how about, I don't know, maybe you advertise something other than the fact that you had friends on your fucking platform for who knows how long. Because it's a great show. And I realized that wearing this is doing me absolutely no favors because nobody can see it. Motherfucker. So forget it. Like, what's the point? Alright. You know, but whatever. So,
I mean, the one scene from the film that I remember, I was going to say a minute ago, is when he sneaks into that woman's house and, like, ties her up and shit, and then the son and the neighbour, like, going, because they're, like, suspicious, and they track him down, and they sort of catch him doing it, but when he's just putting a bag over her head and that, I was like, this is brutal, like, and to think that that's based on a true story, like...
And that's not even that was light. What they showed in that movie...
Well, no, they didn't even go, like, fully in on it, but even the clips they shown,
were terrible.
Like, this is horrible.
Terrible. It did make me very uncomfortable. I mean, obviously, I think that's the point.
Yeah.
But the fact...
I mean, it's powerful, isn't it? If you can do that with scenes that you're showing, like, 60% of what actually happened, or maybe less, and it still affects you, that shows that they've done that well anyway.
Yeah, because, I mean, I know that he killed kids and shit. Like, I couldn't sit through that. There's no fucking way. I'd have to fast forward. I can't... I mean, Jesus. That's like crossing a line, dude, that you just don't cross. Like, I know people say, you know, women and children, but seriously, there's something to that. Like, you don't mess with kids. Like, not that I'm co-signing killing women, but if it was a choice between a child and an adult, I mean, obviously, it would be better if it was the fucking adult. Not that anybody should die.
But you've got to remember that a lot of them don't have that in their head at all. Like,
yeah.
From it. You know what I mean? They're the opposite, if anything. They're like, this is what I get my rocks off to. So.
Right, it's just this is a smaller victim, so it's easier for me to like. I don't think the fact that it's a child probably even crosses their mind, other than the fact that, oh, this will be easier for me to do what I want to do, which is
and
just...
because of that, they probably get more sense of like power because they don't have to work as much to do what they need to do.
Yeah, which, I mean, dude, if you're gonna do it, like, go try to kill a UFC fighter or some shit. You can get away with that, you know, I would respect it. Yeah, exactly. Go try to take Brock Lesnar out, and let's see how fucking tough you really are, you sissy bitch. Instead of trying to kill, you know, women, you know, petite women, or even, like, this lady in the movie was a heavy-set woman, but I felt bad, dude. Like, he breaks into her fucking house, she's sleeping on the goddamn couch, and she wakes up to a dude in a ski mask and a gun talk about, I just robbed a bank. I need your help, and I'm not gonna kill you. I hate that shit, dude. Don't tell me you're not gonna kill me. I 100% know I'm gonna die now, because you just cemented it for me by saying that. But yeah, you know, suffocating her with the bag and shit. His kid comes in, and that's it. his child infuriated me. That's the other thing too. I know a lot of this shit is based off of true stories, and I'm not saying that I wouldn't freeze up in the moment, because you don't know until you're there. But if
Can you imagine like, being his like kid in real life, and you've had these moments in the film where, like, I think it's like pictures or something his kid finds in it of like him taking pictures of his victims.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, like, I just thought just then, like, can you imagine? Because this is obviously based on a true story. Like, imagine how his kid felt in real life, like seeing that and being suspicious, and then his dad's like denying it, and then he like potentially catches him in the act of doing all that shit as well. Like, that's just like that's gonna fuck with your head for the rest of your life, even though you're not the one that killed someone, because you've had proof of it or suspicious activity, and then. Do you know what I mean? That's just fucked up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure.
And also on top of that people don't really think of, that kid probably then gets bullied and shit and death threats because, like, the people he goes to school with or whatever know that his dad is the one that's just been locked away or whatever, and he's this famous killer. That now his kid's gonna get all that shit as well, which isn't right, but that's what's gonna happen.
I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if there's more than one, but I know the real guy has a daughter, because I remember seeing her in a documentary I seen somewhat recently, and she did bring that up about how even though she didn't do anything, she felt like she did because of the fact that people treated her as if she was the killer. Yeah. You know, like I live in the neighborhood with these people, and now they look at me and they see a monster, even though...
Which you then got to think as well, like we spoke about before, that could easily lead to, like, suicide and stuff like that. Then,
oh, yeah.
Because, like, they're probably even going to end up believing that they are the fucking killer because of... Do you know what I mean? They get told that.
Or even worse... Yeah, like, you think, what if that's in my genes now?
Yeah, yeah.
How do I know I'm not... How I know I'm not a killer? Like, that'd be...
Because they might think, like, oh, if someone pisses me off, I might have this switch that I didn't know about.
Yeah! Yeah! Completely fucked, dude. Completely fucked. I mean... I don't know... I think about this a lot, too, dude. I don't know how... How do you go about killing people and then go home to, like, a regular... life for the family and shit, and like hold it together?
I think, like I was saying earlier, because they, like, their brain chemistry is different. Like, they don't have the empathy. They don't have. I don't think they have a lot of. They've got it to some extent, but like they don't have that sort of connection with people. Like,
it's
almost like being like an introvert, but like even more extreme, because, like you said, they have it enough to have like a family life that people consider normal. But then they're going and doing other shit that... Because as well, when you watch a lot of these documentaries and that, if their families and that are, like, willing to be in the documentaries, a lot of them say, like, I didn't see any signs of it from them until, like, they were arrested. I had no idea it was going on and shit. And I'm like... But that just shows to, like... So I was going to say earlier, a lot of the killers as well, which is worrying, they're so intelligent.
Yeah.
Like they're... Some of them might have, like, no empathy or lack something that a lot of us have, but their IQ in that is, like, fucking above average, a lot of these guys. Even though they're sick in some way, they're good at, like, manipulation and tricking people, and...
It really does...
It's really worrying, because they're, like, top end of the scale in terms of intelligence, and that's how they get away with it.
It makes me wonder how many people... Because I know I've watched countless documentaries where they're like...
Like, they're ahead of the police for months and years, aren't they? Because they're always thinking a step ahead. And then eventually they fuck up somewhere and the police catch them. But some of them, it goes on for years because they're so good at covering their tracks and...
Well, there's that, or the people that, oh, shit. Oh, damn it. Damn it. I had it and I lost it. The cop thing was a good point. Like, being undercover is something like that. Like, oh yeah, how many of these people run like businesses, like big businesses that don't even, because I've watched countless documentaries where they're like, well, on average, a person who runs a company, a CEO, whatever it is, those people are sociopaths. Like, not to be confused with a psychopath, they're very different. But I think a person who can fire 100 people and not feel any impact on it at all whatsoever is the same person who has the potential that could kill 100 people and not have anything to feel about it. How many of those people, I wonder, have gone into businesses and get their rocks off by firing people or whatever it is? Because you can look at that as a way of destroying them in a sense, and maybe that satisfies that inner monster that they have, so they don't need to go out and kill people. And the fucked up part is maybe they don't even know they're capable of doing
I
it.
think there's a lot of them out there that are like in them positions, like managers and stuff, and own companies that are like getting sexual favors for them because they've got some sort of dirt on their employees, and they know that they're desperate for like their jobs, that they'll be like making them do shit sexually to them to keep their jobs and shit, and it's just.
That's another one. I don't understand that, dude. I mean, I've told this story before, I think, on my podcast probably. And it's not the same thing. I mean, just to give you an example, I think shit like that is gross, obviously, but it's because it makes me feel gross. I know some dudes don't care, but let's just give you an example, dude. I used to hang out with these two girls, both of them named Amanda, right? So these bitches come over to my house, and they're like, oh, you got any weed, bro? We're trying to smoke. Like, if you smoke with us, we will make out with each other. You can watch. Like, like, all right, hold on.
You got as well. You got to be like, first of all, I've never even told you that I find you attractive. In fact, I don't. So you offering that is pointless anyway.
I mean, you're not wrong, dude. But they're like, I'm like, all right. First of all, let's slow that down for one. Like, you could just come upstairs. There's no need for all of that. And they were the shock on their faces, like, well, that's never happened before. Like, dude, you don't need to put on a fucking show, dude. If you want to hang, we could just hang. So we went upstairs and we fucking watched the movie and smoked a blunt, and then they left. Like, everything normal. But it's fucked up that it's almost like it's become an unspoken thing in a lot of circles.
That's so sad, like, you just telling that. That's so sad that that's the perspective they have. And then they're like, really? Like, there's people that are actually, like, kind, and it's just so sad that they think that that's how the majority of the world is because of whatever environment they're in. But like,
and that chick hates my guts now. For the record, she hates my guts because I don't know, I didn't date her, and she wound up falling into a relationship with a really bad guy who apparently got her wrapped.
She blames you for that relationship as well.
Yeah, that she was beaten and basically raped within her relationship and pimped out to other people. I'm to blame for that because I wouldn't date you however many years back because you were too loose with your pussy. Let's just call it what it is. I don't want to fuck somebody that is just handing it out to whoever will take it. I'm sorry. I have a little respect for myself. Not that you would know that looking at some of the people I've dated in the past, because some of them are real dogs. And I'm sorry. Look, I'm not a looker, okay? I get it. I get it. When you walk around with me, people go, oh, how cute. They let the kid out from Make-A-Wish. You know what I mean? Like, they're making a lap around the mall. That's so nice. I understand. Nobody likes to get peed on. I get it. 100% I get it. I got my issues. But, come on, dude. You know, it's not my fault. I'm sorry that you got wrapped up in a fucking bad relationship, but
on a more positive note though, like I know sometimes you like get very pissed off with your situation and that, but I was just thinking, imagine if you'd just stuck with her, how much worse and bad you'd feel right now, because you would be in a whole different like environment that's probably 20 times or if not more less. Do you know what I mean? It's like escalated even more.
I kind of wonder though if I feel bad for stupid reasons, because we could get into this a little bit, but I do kind of wonder.
I just gotta do something quick, but I can still hear you.
Yeah, I do kind of wonder if. What if I would have? Maybe she would have been a completely different person. But like you just said, then so would I. Who knows what? How that could have influenced life? And I think you kind of. I don't know if you're meant to go places or to do things, but I kind of had an instinct like this is not something that I should do. And that's not even personal against her or anybody else I may have felt that way towards. But I kind of feel like there's certain people I think you just instinctually know that you're not supposed to be in that kind of a setting with. It just doesn't make sense to do that. So I don't know. I try not to think about it. I mean, really, it's her. That's whatever. That's not on me because I didn't want to date you. You made your own choices. You could have got out of that. You didn't. You know, I don't know what the circumstances were, but you can't blame me for something that you chose to do. Everybody has a choice, even if you feel like you don't have a fucking choice. Everybody has one, and I'm not saying that to belittle the situation or to make you feel like whatever you went through wasn't serious, because it is and it was and all of that shit. But you can't blame other people for a choice that you made. You could have got out. You could have got out somehow. And even I shouldn't say that. I'll just leave it at, you can't blame me for actions of other people. I can't save everybody. But I was just going to tell you, like, I feel bad. I could have alright, this is gonna sound really weird. And I don't think I've talked about this publicly ever, I don't think, but whatever.
Exclusive.
Yeah, right? Maybe not. I don't know. I forget when I talk about things. So anyway, Jen was in a relationship with this fucking broad. That shit with their friends. They had a weird dynamic going on, dude. Relationship, not relationship. We don't fuck. We do whatever that weird ass fucking deal was. Anyway. Basically, their move was to try to get this to be like a 3-way relationship thing. And this, we're talking like 16 years ago. Now, I have found out about myself that apparently I'm a conservative fucking dude in some ways, because I've never had anybody suggest anything crazy like that. I mean, let alone 2 motherfuckers. It's hard enough to get one. It's hard enough to get one. Never mind.
I was gonna say, like, the amount of issues that can happen just between a normal couple, and it just 2 people, like you said, the dynamics, and then you add another person in. That's just off-putting for me straight away. Like, just how difficult would that be? Like, you've got to deal with 2 people's baggage now. I'm not saying you're never in the wrong sort of thing, but when something fucks up,
well, no, because yeah, well, I was just gonna say that statement works for every person involved.
Yeah.
Because every one of us has to deal with 2 other people's bullshit, and then you have to regulate sex and all that shit. You got to figure out how the fuck am I supposed to spend equal time with 2 people? How the fuck does that work? You know there's always some favoritism shit happening. Is always.
And I'm not trying to be sexist here, but you saying about like spending time with each other and that, like women base relationships more off of like feeling and that than blokes do, and that's just a fact. So if they're wanting your attention and you're at work or whatever the case is, then that's just going to be a whole headache. Do you know what I mean? Because there's two of them now moaning that they're not seeing you or getting time with you.
Dude, on paper, it sounds amazing. Two pussies, 4 titties, sounds great, dude. 2 periods? Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious? Are you serious?
And we haven't even got into the part of kids.
Oh my god. Well, that was the whole reason why I brought, like, dude. So these motherfuckers were like, okay, so why don't we do this? Like, I'm not used to this world. You have to understand, I haven't been in that many I'm not being close to people is not something I'm good with. I have a lot of insecurities. I have not had like I have not had a solid foundation with the people I should have, which is probably where a lot of those issues come from. And then couple on top of that, getting fucked over in every relationship exactly doesn't help either. But I feel bad that I kind of rejected it because I felt like, as crazy as it's gonna sound, I felt like a pawn in their game. In my head, as delusional as this might be, and some people I think would agree with me, others may not, but I felt like I was a pawn that was being used so that these two could fuck around with each other and be like, oh, well, you know, we're not 100% gay or whatever the fucking issue was because there's a dick in between us, so that makes it alright. Like, that's kind of how I kind of took it, especially because they were a little too comfortable for my fucking liking, dude. You could already tell shit was gonna go sideways, but I do feel bad because now this fucking girl is stranded now by herself with fucking 3 or 4 kids, I don't remember, all different ages, and sometimes I do feel bad, like that whole life could have been avoided, and it's partially my fault. But then at the same time, I think about, that's not the right person for me to trade in all of the morals and values that I have in my life. I certainly, no disrespect to her, but she ain't the one to do all that for. It'd be
But
too.
imagine if you'd have stayed with her, and I know you're careful about this anyway, but you had the kids with her and they were your kids, and then she's out stranded on her own and you're living wherever. Like, just don't think of it that way as well. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, dude.
It's not necessarily like certain that if you'd have stayed with her that she wouldn't be in the same situation, even though it was with you.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. So I mean, I feel bad in some ways, but then I have to fucking snap myself out of it and be like, well, dude, nobody put a gun to her fucking head. She made her choices, and this is where her life ended up. You can't feel bad for somebody else's mistakes.
And plus, if she blames you for the rest of her life, that should tell you that you dodged a bullet. As harsh as it sounds,
right?
I feel bad for the kids, but like, if she's gonna blame, because she's probably blaming other people, not just you, in other senses of things.
Right.
And it's that victim mentality again. At some point, you have to, like, sometimes you might feel like it is another person's fault, but what I'm saying is, if you do that with everything in your life, you just got a victim mentality about everything, like.
And then nothing changes. And then nothing changes. You never get better. You never face anything.
So that's something that I've learned from, like, personally as well, like, and it does take a while to get out of it because if you're in a habit of doing it, but like at some point you have to realize like it's not always other people's fault.
Yeah, some shit you have to take responsibility for. Like, look, I will fully admit, I shouldn't have been such an asshole. I shouldn't have been such an asshole in the beginning of this. I definitely have not. I've been guilty of not being understanding about this whole thing. Because of the fact that this is a whole different set of rules than I was raised to understand. The way that I was raised, dude, was, here's the fucking deal. You get in a relationship, and it's you and that motherfucker, and that's it. You get married one time. That's it. There is no, divorce, get married again. There's none of that shit. You get one shot, and that's it. You don't cheat, you don't do any of this stuff. Now, I'm not saying that, that's how it all worked out, but the point is to be raised under that and then get into a relationship with somebody who is like, Jen, I'm 100% blunt, and I kind of do whatever I feel like, and shit like this doesn't bother me. Like, I could go, according to her, I could literally go hook up with some chick tomorrow and she wouldn't give a fuck. Now, I personally, I kind of go back and forth. I really don't believe that. She says that she don't care, but I think she would get, yeah, I think she would get pretty fucking heated. Nah, at the...
She was reacting yesterday. I know it's a whole different situation with the car thing.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's hard for me to picture, like, her not having enough, like, getting pissed off about that.
Yeah, because I think she would, in her head, she's probably like, well, it does me a favor, yes, but at the same time, I think depending on how the other person would be, she would be like, oh, no, we're not doing this.
As well? I'm not saying this for every woman, but I think the perception is in a relationship as well that men are more protective over their girlfriends,
right?
Sometimes, but I think if anything, women are as much, if not more.
I think they are too, and they just
of their boyfriends, because, and I'm not saying they're all like that, but I think the perception is that men are more protective in it, but I don't think that's always the case.
And they don't. Well, that's another thing too. That people don't come up in conversation a whole lot, because it's like, oh well, why are you gonna chase? Because that's where it's almost like the reverse of it is women empowerment, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with you being a strong, independent woman and all that shit. But let's not sit here and pretend like you're not going to be protective over, for lack of a better term, what is yours. Like, if you're in a relationship with a motherfucker, you're not just going to let some broad off the street walk up to your fucking person and act or say whatever you want. There's no way. And if you are going to do that, then why even bother being in a relationship with that person if you don't care? I don't understand that logic of thinking. I can't tell you the amount of fights I've almost been in because somebody was eyeballing her, some fucking dude trying to eyeball her or think that he's going to walk up to her and hit on her because I look the way that I do and I walk the way that I do. Like, you don't ever get it confused.
I think I might have told you this before, but when I was with my ex, like, we used to go to town a lot and, like, just to clubs or whatever, and literally every time we went out, something would happen with, like, some bloke trying to chat her up or something.
Dude.
And it was literally the same for me, because I'm, like, small and stuff. People would always think, well, what's he going to do? And it got to the point where I just said to her, we can't go to town anymore because she wouldn't get annoyed by it, but I couldn't relax and have a good time anytime we went out because shit would happen.
Preaching to the choir, dude. I'm exactly the same way. Exactly the same shit happened. I got to the point where I was like, it's not even worth going anywhere with you because it always ends up to the same thing. It's like, oh, let me buy you a drink. And you know what else kills me, dude? I get this is also a personality difference between me and her. If she thinks, oh, some dude's gonna buy me drinks, I should milk this motherfucker all night then. And let him buy me drinks all night. Where I'm on the other side of this going, by doing that, though, you're making this guy think that you're going to fuck him. Whether you're going to or not, you're giving the impression that you're going to. And then that right there can go into a whole conversation about the Me Too era and rape culture and all that shit. But the fact of the matter is, if you're accepting gifts from somebody, that's almost as good as saying, I'm interested. Whether you are or not. And that's kind of an unspoken rule I feel like we have in society in general. But I'm with you, dude. Like, I can't do
that
this.
should never have been a thing. Like, I shouldn't have been made to feel like we can't go out to a club because of idiots, basically.
Well,
and,
see,
and like she would be like, but I don't like. I'm with you. I'm not gonna get with anyone else. And I'll be like, yeah, but that's not the point. Like you go out and have a good time, but I'm just stressed as soon as we go out. Like when I should be having fun and enjoying it with you, I can't relax because I'm on edge all the time in case I go have a fight with someone.
Yeah. I mean, they don't make it easy, especially if you go out to a bar, dude. That's a nightmare. The bar and the club I refuse to go. I refuse to go to the club, dude. I won't do it. I will not do it. Outside of the fact that now I'm 36 and I don't belong in a club. In my 20s, I wouldn't go, man, because I know.
Think as well, on top of that as well, I was never, and I'm still not a party person. I've never been someone that likes to drink and go to clubs anyway.
Yeah.
So I had to fight that anyway because I used to go because she enjoyed it so much. But then on top of that, you got all the bullshit as well. So it was like I got all this anxiety. I don't fucking like people anyway, and then I'm trying to have a good time because you like to go out and that, which is fair enough. And she's not getting stressed by it when it's happening as much as I am. But then it's not the same because we feel like as men, rightly or wrongly, that we have to be that protector as well. So
yeah,
it's like I felt like I was almost like having a job as well, like because you want to go out and have fun.
Bro, it feels like, tell me if I'm wrong, dude, but it feels like you're with a child more so than you're with a fucking significant other. Because you gotta watch or what threat level is gonna be around this motherfucker now. But instead of child-proofing cabinets and not having corners on tables, you gotta worry about grown men who are intoxicated trying to approach this motherfucker and be like, hey, I'm trying to fuck, let me buy you a drink. Who's a fag you're with? Fuck him, come get with me, I got money, or whatever it is they try to say.
I've just got to tell you something I thought of, which is kind of relates to this, but a bit different. She's been getting messages on her Facebook recently, like inboxes from just complete strangers.
Oh,
and
that's a
people we've known
classic.
in the past that have got kids and stuff. They got like profile pictures of their missus and their kids, and then they're in her inbox saying, "Oh, do you want to meet up and shit?" And they know me, like I've been to school with some of them and stuff. And then you get strangers as well doing it.
Dirtbags.
Like she had someone from New York recently, and like I can't remember what he said his name was or something. And then like she showed me the message, and he's like, what's your name? And she was like, well, you've just said your name's this, and now you've just like he slipped up somehow, and it was a different name. She's like, so what's your real name? And he's like, oh, I'd rather not say and shit. And I'm just like, what is wrong with people? Especially when you go on a profile and you see that she's got loads of kids.
Yeah.
And, like, even if you don't know, like, maybe you don't know that she's with me or we're split up or whatever, but that's still someone's family you're fucking with by messaging someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like when you at least see this also comes down to respect though too, dude, because most people when they go on a Facebook and they see a woman with say 2-3 kids or even one kid, they don't stop and think this is not somebody that I can just roll around with for a night and then leave. Because if I start even casually seeing this person, then there's a chance that I'm going to have to meet these kids and become a part of their life. They don't even consider that. But this is the math that she's got to do on the other side of this shit. And then there's also you on top of all of that. It's a horror show,
And
dude.
you know what's messed up about it? Like, she showed me the message, and I'm like, even though we're not together, I still feel protective of her because we've got kids and stuff as well.
Well, yeah, you're always gonna, yeah.
So I have to now fight the urge to fucking get them in their inbox.
Yeah.
And
To be like,
I've done it in
dude.
the past, and it don't solve nothing, especially when they're fucking across the world as well.
Ugh, yeah.
I'm just like, do you know what I mean? I would, if I was that bloke, like I've never been like that anyway. I've like never cheated or nothing. But if I went on someone's thing and I saw that they were with someone as well and they've got kids, I'd be like, what are you doing? Like, I kind of get it a little bit more if you're not together, but even that's a risky game because you can see from their pictures that she's got a load of kids with someone. So
Yeah.
whether they're together or not, you're still interfering into someone's life.
Well, not to mention that whether they're together or not, you're gonna have to deal with that dude eventually.
Yeah.
Is that
'Cause
something
I think people as well think if you're split up, that partner isn't still protective, which isn't the case.
Right, and then, well, see, the problem is when we talk about this, now I'm hearing two arguments in my mind. There's this argument, right, that we're having now, and then there's the opposite of, I can hear a woman say, well, so what, I have kids, and I have an ex, or whatever it is, so what does that mean? I'm never supposed to have another relationship again, because this person wants to be protective? No, I don't think anybody is saying that. It's just if you were, I'm sure if she came to you, right, and she said, "Listen, I met this guy, and I wanna give it a shot. I wanna give it a shot with him. We're gonna try to see if the relationship will work. I wanna try to not introduce him to the kids right away and all that, just in case. But eventually, there's a possibility that I might do that." I don't think you would have as much of a problem with that. If it was a legit attempt, like if the dude was really like, all right, look, we're gonna try. I understand that once upon a time you guys were together, you're not anymore. I'm gonna try to do the right thing. I don't think you would have a problem with that. The problem is not her being in a relationship. The problem is her being used outside of a relationship or even in one, and then not to mention also jerking your fucking kids around because you don't want people in and out of their life. That's not good either. So it's delicate, but I understand you can't shut it all down, and at the same time there's a way that you go about doing things too, though. You see somebody has kids, you don't fucking rush into their inbox. I mean, I understand everything has to start somewhere, but there's a certain way that you do things, and I feel like we're far beyond the days where people used to consider things like this, especially now in the age of Tinder or Bumble, whatever the new ones are now, where everything is just so instantly connected and you can swipe through photos and see somebody's whole life. It's very different.
Yeah, that's a problem. Like, I think I've said to you before, just like we spoke about, like the government and stuff tracking on your Facebooks and like, but also that works for messed up people as well, isn't it? Because they can access whatever
For $30. For $30, dude, I can go on a website right now for $30. I can get the last 6 addresses I've ever lived at, the last 3 phone numbers I've had, my immediate family, my criminal background record, where I went to fucking school. They have my whole life for $30. So if somebody on the internet wanted to be mad enough, let's say, about a reaction that I did, if they had to do, they could put $30 up and they can find where I live and they can come to my house and kill me. Because all this shit is tracking, and there's, apparently it doesn't get put up to a fucking vote. They just do what they want, which is ridiculous. And
the thing that guy that, I mean, we don't know if he is in America, this guy that messaged her. It said he was, but like, she blocked him.
Yeah.
And then he messaged her again, so he's made another account. She said it's the same name as the other account. Might be a different picture or something, but it's the same name. So he's created another account just to message her again.
I've had that happen. There was a dude. I swear, I wish I was making this up. I don't want to get into it because it's gonna make me really fucking mad. Okay. Long story short, there was a dude who basically did the same thing, multiple accounts, and just wouldn't let it go. And then that's where it gets dangerous on 2 ends. Because 1, you're not sure what a person is. In the age of social media, it's real easy to misinterpret somebody's intentions. Like, in other words, you could be having a conversation with this person for a couple weeks, and everything, you've built up this person's personality in your mind, but now you go and meet them, and it turns out that you were reading everything in the wrong tone. Like, this person is dangerous. Now it's too late. How do you know? But yes, I was gonna get into it, but I don't want to because it's gonna make me really fucking mad, and I don't want to be put in a bad mood because shit like that really does have a. You know what? I'll give you a different example. There was a dude that Jen worked with in a gas station, supposedly Marine, all this bullshit. Even though he's a big fat fuck. Yeah, I believe you were in the Marines, you fucking loser. Whatever. So she's working at the gas station with this fucking fruit cup, and this dude is hitting on her non-stop, bro. And she tells me about this. Why, I don't know. But she tells me about this, and she is a bit of a flirt, dude. So I'm like, bro, how much of this shit are you going along with? Red's like, no, I'm not.
Just before you go further, like, women do this. They flirt, but then they want you to be the protector.
Yeah. I got myself in too deep. Help me.
Like, I'm not saying they all do that, but I've seen them do it. Like, even if it isn't me, like, I've seen it with other couples and that.
Yeah.
They, like, intentionally flirt with someone, and then that person, like, grabs them or something, and then they tell their boyfriend, I'm like, you just fucking brung it on to yourself, and now you want me to protect you.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Like, this is the problem. Like, it sounds bad, but I think a lot of women get a kick from that, and I'm like, that's just fucked up.
I know. I think they do. Some of them do. It's the same way. You hate to say it, but doesn't mean it's not true. There are some women who like to make up stories.
If that happens, and you then feel you have to stick up for them, and you do, and that other bloke or woman kills you. Then what? Then it's too late. Then they're like crying their eyes out that their boyfriend or girlfriend's dead, but they ultimately started all that just from flirting.
Yeah, well, I mean that's where a lot of this shit came from. Oh, let me toss this back on. It's getting fucking cold in here, probably because my blood pressure is all over the goddamn place. Give me a sec. Well, at least you guys, because we'll still be able to see on the camera that we're here still. So even though it went quiet for a moment, if you're listening to this in the future on the audio, apologies, but, these things are going to happen from time to time. It's not like we're leaving you high and dry for 10, 20 minutes with dead air or anything crazy like that. We wouldn't do that to you. We would play music or something, at least. But this dude, this is like a similar thing, dude. This guy worked at a gas station with her, and he wasn't exactly a looker. Right now, I want everybody watching this to understand something. I know I'm not a supermodel. I just want to put that out there. I know what I look like. Once upon a time, I did have teeth in my fucking mouth. I did not always look the way that I do now, which is slightly better maybe before than now, but even still, I understand by no stretch of the imagination, am I a supermodel? So when I say that this motherfucker was busted up, I'm not saying that I'm gonna be running around winning beauty pageants anytime soon, so just take it from the source. But this fat fuck would hit on her constantly, and then the gifts started, where I'll send you home here, take a couple packs of cigarettes on me, don't worry about it. What do you mean you don't have any? Take mine. Oh, you want a little bit of weed? Here's a fucking quarter you could just bring home and smoke it.
I know this might sound like a stupid question, but just to get a little bit more insight, like, I'm taking it she told him that she was with you.
Yeah, and he just didn't care. He was like, yeah, so what? So what? You got a boyfriend. I'm not trying to do anything with you. Meanwhile, that's all he's trying to do. Is if I buy this girl enough shit, if I do enough shit for her, she'll fuck me. Because obviously, that's how you have to do it. when you're fucking gross is you have to buy things for people because you can't just win on your personality alone. Fuck you. But so this continues, dude, and here's where the line gets passed for me. He brings her to a fucking tattoo shop now. And he's like, oh, I'll finish. Because she's like, well, fuck it. If this guy's going to spend money, then here's her logic. Oh, free cigarettes? Cool. Oh, free weed? All right. Not once ever realizing, like, just stringing this motherfucker. I think she knows she's stringing him along. They all know. They just pretend like they don't. Anyway. He's like, well, I want to... She brings up in conversation, apparently, how this goes is... And by the way, they're working together on the night shift by themselves. I just want to throw that out there. So, you know, there's that also. But...
I mean, at this time, you... Because if it was me, sat at home or whatever, you must have been going crazy.
Yeah, pissed, bro.
Because
pissed.
You don't know necessarily, unless she's texting you at the time, like, what's happening. You got all sorts of shit in your mind. Maybe she's doing this with him. Like,
well, immediately, it's like, oh, well, she's got to be fucking him. Because who's going to just keep giving you shit for no reason? Like, something is happening here. Now, I'm not saying it actually did, but in my mind, it doesn't make sense to me. The way I think of it is like this. Why would I keep paying for something that's not benefiting me in some way? Doesn't make sense. But... everybody's different, I suppose.
All I would say as well on her side of it is that, and just for women that do this, like, someone might offer you all this free stuff and that, but at some point, you got to think, what's the intentions behind this? Why are they giving me this stuff all the time? It's like in prison, isn't it? People come to you and they say, I'll give you this and that, and people are like, he's my friend, and then at some point, they want something in return for all the shit and favors they've done for you.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what it is, and he's gonna be looking to cash in, dude. Forget the cartons of cigarettes now that we're on that are like $60, $70, almost $100. Forget the weed, forget all that shit. Now we're going into tattoos where she got a butterfly on her back. She wanted to get some shit added to it. And this fucking guy is like, well, I'll pay for it if you want to get it done. And this is so much more disrespectful. I can't even tell you. He says, well, I mean, shit, if you want, I'll even pay for your boyfriend to get one. The fuck you will, motherfucker. I ain't taking shit from you, and the fact that you're taking anything from this guy, you should be ashamed of your fucking self. This crosses a line. Beyond it. I mean, she brings him to her mom's house. Who does that? This is a co-worker.
So the thing is, like, I'm not excusing it, but and like I said, like, well, blokes could do this as well, but some people are so gullible and don't have that sense of, they're going to ask for a favour back at some point. They just think that someone's being really nice. And 9 times out of 10, it comes to that point where they're expecting something from you and you're trapped and you can't get out. Or, do you know what I mean? And that's when there's a lot of, like, shit happens.
That's where I go back and forth between, you know what you're doing, you're taking advantage, and how do you not see that? Well, it's not like that. He's not, if I had $1 for every time I heard her say, oh, he's not into me like that. She's not into me like that. Come on, dude. You can't be this stupid. There's just no way. There's no way. There's no way you live for 30-something years and you don't. But whatever. I mean, so he pays for this fucking tattoo thing, dude. And I'm like, bro, this is getting to an area now where I'm not... This shit is not going to continue. You need to understand that. So now I go to this motherfucker directly because clearly... talking to her is not working. So now I go to his fucking job. And I go to this dude's face like a fucking man. And I go, hey man, listen. This shit you got going on here? No good. Can't have it. Gotta end. I quote, he said this to me. He goes, And what do you think you're gonna do exactly? Huh? What, you think you think you scare me? I work with her all night. It's just me and her here by ourselves. I can fuck her anytime I want. And there's not a goddamn thing you can do about it. I will, like, that's basically what he says is I can do whatever I want and there's nothing you could do about it. It's like, test me, motherfucker. That's all, basically that's all I said to the dude, where I was like, okay, you know what? It seems to be all a joke, right? It's all a joke and there's no need to be afraid of me, but I'll find out where you live. I can find out where you live and just sneak through a window. I'm glad you're a Marine, because then that means there might be some stuff around your house I could use, right? Since you want to be all in everybody else's business and paying for shit, I hope you still got some money left over for them hospital bills you're going to have to pay for after I fuck you up. And you're not going to see it coming. You're not going to see it coming. I'll wait. I'm the type of sick fuck that will wait a year for you to put your guard down and then come and find where you live and break in your house in the middle of the night and give you, you know what I mean? But obviously you don't do things like that. You say outrageous shit, even though when I said it in my heart, I meant it. I shouldn't lie to anybody. I really did feel that way. And then I guess he was smart enough to be like, all right, this is going into an area now where it's about to be violence over some pussy that I'm not getting, so it's not worth it. And it just kind of all ended, but that shit went too far, dude. Way too far. And I'm not innocent. I'm not innocent. I've cheated in the beginning of the relationship. I fucked the whole thing up. So I've invited this type of behavior. That's what I've done. I've invited this type of behavior because I didn't do the right shit in the beginning of all of this. Having said that, though, certain things you do and certain things you don't do. It's been a long, rough road to get to this point where we're at right now, and there's been a lot of ups and downs and craziness and bullshit. But I think that's part of the fucking, as bad as it is, that's part of the experience. I had to learn that there are people that are out in the fucking world that will do shit like that without any regard for anybody. They don't care. I had a dude like shit like this happens all the time, dude. I've heard stories of guys like locking their fucking, hanging out with a chick, making it like they're friends, and then they decide that they want to make the move, and then they lock them in their cars, trying to get to the, you know what I mean? Like, I've heard horrible shit, and I know I'm all over.
Bring that up earlier, like saying just the gullibleness and that of people, like, especially if, like you said, that she took him to her mum's house and at that time, like, if he's give her a lift or whatnot, it's nothing to stop him, like, going a different direction and going off somewhere, do you know what I mean? And locking the door. And
I just want to say for the record, though, if I should have broke it off at that point. I shouldn't be sitting here right now. I should have ended the relationship before it got there. I don't care how much you love somebody. If you're hearing this right now and you need to hear this right now, then I'm gonna put this out to you. I don't care how much you love this person. If somebody really cares for you, they're not gonna do shit like that. I don't care what the reason is. There's no excuse for that kind of behavior. None at all whatsoever.
you know what's messed up as well that just hit me is, like, as kids we learn to not get in a stranger's car or not trust people.
But as an adult,
you might work with someone for a bit or something, and then you think you know them, and then you drop your guard as an adult, and then you could potentially die or something. Yeah, all through your childhood, you had more of a sense of that person. I can't be doing that. But then as an adult, it's kind of like you kind of forget it.
And dude,
and I think part of that is because people are like, oh, well, I can look after myself and stuff. But a lot of the times you can't. When it gets down to the nitty and gritty of it, especially with a woman and a bloke, like they're just in terms of how we develop, like a bloke's gonna overpower a woman 8 or 9 times out of 10 in them situations.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, you always hear the same thing. From the murderer that they arrest to the serial killer, seemed like such a nice guy. He always mind his business.
What I was saying earlier about the manipulation and that, because they
Yeah.
know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And the victim just thinks that they're a nice person now because they well, for whatever reason they can't read the body language or whatever. And I'm not saying that like me and you wouldn't always, like, we're not going to spot probably like every single person that we'd be like, oh, there's something not right about that person, because some people are that good at it.
Yeah.
But I think me and you are like intelligent enough to know of like, even as blokes, I'm not getting in a car with that bloke or even a woman, because you're like something. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I would hope
certain
so.
things you do and certain things you don't do.
I would hope so. But then to your point though, there are certain people that just, I don't even know, this is going to sound cliche when I say it, but I don't know how else to describe it. There are certain people that give off a vibe or an energy, if you will, where you can tell by being around them, some people are just evil. I don't know if you've experienced that in your life, but I have bumped into people, friends of friends, school, whatever it is, where I have bumped into people that just carry this fucking heaviness about them, where, like, alright, this motherfucker is a murderer. Maybe not right now. At some point in his life, I would be willing to bet that he'll kill somebody and go to prison the rest of his life. Or I don't know why. It's the same way that some people could be around me and be like, well, that guy's gonna be a petty criminal his entire life. And you wouldn't be wrong. But
100% I get what you're saying. Like, maybe not to the level of like I feel like they're a killer or something, but just like as an example, like people that I've worked with and stuff. Like, they'll either be a twat to me, and then I'm like, oh, I don't like you now anyway. But like sometimes they don't even have to speak to you that day or that shift, but just literally standing near you.
You pick up on it.
Yeah, like it's horrible.
It's so weird to say it, because when you say things like that, people probably think we sound.
Every single job I've had that feeling with someone.
It's unavoidable, and it just goes to show you. I guess I mentioned this earlier, but do you think that is natural instinct? Like, in the sense that I'm getting the feeling off of this person because me and this person would never. Do you think that's like a protection of each of your brains
think part of it is like a self-defense thing.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, people might say it towards us, like, yeah, but I got that same feeling from you, so there's a case of that as well. But I just think I'm like respectful at work. Like, when I'm working and stuff, I know, like, just being courteous and stuff, even if I don't really like someone. But then if I speak to them and they respond back without the same sort of respect or courtesy, I'm like, I already don't like you now, and now you don't even have to talk to me now, and I don't want to work with you. Just standing near you because I know what sort of person you are.
Yeah. Well, dude, I mean,
and I'm not saying we're perfect, because maybe they look at us and think the same thing, but like I said, just basic things like being like respectful and courteous to like people you work with, and then they can't do that back. Already I'm like, well, this isn't going to last. Either I'm going to have to leave or they're going to have to leave. Do you know what I mean? It's just already, like, I've had that with jobs. The first week in, and I'm like, well, I hate this person already. This is part of the reason I don't even want to come to work now. I've only been here a week and I hate it already.
You ever had a violent encounter with somebody that you work with? Not that you I'm going to preface by saying not that you started. For whatever reason, they decided to come to you with that. I know it's an odd question.
I don't think I've ever had it to the case of where, like, I'm literally fighting with them, but I've had it, like, verbally with people a few times.
Because as you're saying this, I'm getting a flashback of I was working for a cleaning company. We were cleaning at a state building, which ironically, you know, housed police, you know, diaper, you know, all the important people. There's some Spanish chick winds up getting hired, which whatever. I don't care who you are, what you look like, what you believe. Can you do the fucking job? That's all I want to know. Okay, great. This girl decides that once the boss leaves, she's just not gonna work anymore. And she has her boyfriend come in, and they're dicking around throughout the building. And we don't get to leave until the job is done because this is a state building and this shit has to be it has to be a certain way. There are literally people in this building who take children from their parents for them not being in good and healthy situations. Those people cannot walk into a dirty office. It cannot happen. So it doesn't matter how long it takes. Nobody leaves till the job is done. This girl decides she wants to run around the building with her boyfriend and not get anything done. So, as you know, I got a bit of a mouth on me, right? So, I mean, they're smiling and laughing, staring at me as they go by, and eventually I'm like, so I guess we're not working? I guess we're not working? That's how we're gonna do things? And now, this girl comes walking over to me, and she's like, here's what's gonna happen. I've never met this chick in my life, by the way. I want to preface by saying this.
And I just want to say, her saying that to you, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Already, me knowing what type of person you are,
Yeah.
in your head, you'd be like, okay, we're doing this then, alright.
Well, dude, basically, she goes, here's what's going to happen. I'm going to do basically whatever I want, and that's it. And if you don't like it, and then out comes the box cutter. She goes, I'll fucking cut you. Or I'll go and get him, and I'll get him to cut you. And I went, oh, we're playing this, are we? So I pull mine out, and I go, oh, are you the only one? Do you think you're the only one, as if I won't cut both of you motherfuckers? The moment that you step to me, you no longer have a vagina now. Your vagina is out of play. You pull a knife out on me, bitch, it don't matter. I'll knock you out cold. And I only bring that up, again, I'm not a tough guy. I don't resort to violence. Nothing happened. But it was because of the fact that I said, oh, I was willing to get cut. And I wanted her to know that. I'm willing to get...
though, like, people push people to the limit. And most of the time, when that person snaps, that person's like, oh, I'm just joking about, like, take it easy.
Yeah,
like, why you gotta get someone to the point of them wanting to kill you? Because we've tried to warn you in the past, like, oh, I don't like you doing that, and you don't listen. And it gets to the point where it gets to that level, and now you're saying, oh, it's a joke, and that, like, it's bollocks.
And not to mention that we're janitors, dude. Like, you do know, we're cleaning toilets and garbage cans, and you want to stab because you don't feel like working? We're not in a great place. So, last place...
It sounds like she felt she was above the job, which is fine if she feels like that, but then don't do the job.
Exactly!
You're not doing it when you're there.
Exactly! Why even bother? This is the last thing I want to do. Do you think I enjoy cleaning up after other people? And getting myself sick because that's what was happening outside of all the... Could you imagine being a janitor in the day and age of right now with the fucking corona and everything else going on? I couldn't even...
And not only that, like, I suppose you've always had it, but just knowing how disrespectful people are now. Like, can you imagine, like you're saying, the amount of stuff that they have to clean up just because people don't give a crap anymore and they just dump shit everywhere and...
Dude.
Like, it's just, there's no respect.
I gotta be honest with you, and this is gonna piss off a lot of people, but it doesn't change the fact that it's true. Doesn't change the fact that it's true. Believe it or not, the woman's bathroom was more atrocious in this building than the men's one was. And men are gross, don't get me wrong. Their bathroom was so bad, the women that work in this building would be like, pull me off to the side and go, I am sorry for what you are gonna walk into later. I don't know who raises these people, but my God, prepare yourself. You know, like I don't. It's I'm not. This is not an anti-woman thing, dude. But when other women are going, oh, this is bad news. Like, yeah, you're into trouble. But that's because people go to their work. It's like when they go to motels. Oh, somebody will clean it up for me so I can be as dirty as I want. Like, no, please don't do that, because then I have to go in and clean it up. Can you make it a little bit easier on me, please? But they don't.
Like, this isn't exactly the same example, but just something that's come into my head. Like, when, like, I used to go to McDonald's or whatever, like, I wouldn't always take my tray in after I'd eaten and put it in the bin.
Yeah.
Because I always felt like, well, there are cleaners and that, but I would still pick things up off the table and put it back onto the tray and in the box and that and the rubbish and put it in like a Happy Meal box. Or
yeah, that's at least respectful.
Tray, so they can just take the tray when I've gone.
Yeah.
And I may have not done it the whole, like, as much as I could have in terms of emptying it myself, but at least I've put it all back on a tray so they can just dump it after I've gone. But some people, they'll fucking throw shit around and it's out on the floor, ketchup all smudged everywhere. And I'm like, and they'll just leave it. And them sort of people, like, just, they don't deserve to, like, it sounds harsh, but they don't deserve to fucking live.
I
Like,
mean,
where's respect?
yeah, because dude, they have no regard for anything. They don't care. Like, I understand. Like, nobody should be happy that you're stuck eating at a McDonald's. But my God, man, do you have to make everybody's life difficult? Like, these are the same people. These are the same people that will.
Do you know what makes it worse as well is when you see, like, the cleaners and that, and it's someone that's like a happy-go-lucky person, because I feel like it's even worse then, because it's even more insulting, because they're not going to say anything to anyone about it.
Right.
But they're used to having to deal with all people's shit. But, like, I just feel as well at some point then people are going to snap, because they'll be like, yeah, I'm happy-go-lucky, but at some point, if it doesn't stop, how can they keep that up?
I can't take it anymore. This is the last French fry.
That's the worst part about it.
Terrible.
It's just horrible.
Terrible.
Don't get it. If my kids grow up to be like that, I'm gonna fucking come down on them hard. If I catch them doing shit like that.
Oh, you have to. You have to. I mean, granted, her nephew and little brother are not my children, and I'm sure I overstep 100 boundaries every time I'm around them by saying.
What I would say is, if they catched you and told you about something they weren't happy with, I think even though you're quite like, yeah, whatever, motherfucker, like, I still think, like, you've still got enough in your head to be like, yeah, you're right, I won't do that again. I wasn't aware that it upset people because I do that, and you wouldn't do it the next time.
Right.
But a lot of people are like, oh, fuck you, and they don't care, and they're like, and then that's where the problem is, because they don't ever change.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say, even though they're not my kids, I do try to. I won't let them get away with doing some wild shit, like destroying something, even if it is going to a simple place like a McDonald's or whatever. Don't make a mess and leave it for somebody else because they get paid to clean it. Clean up after yourself, because if you were home, that's what you would do. So that's what you should do now, especially because that cleaning guy could be you. It could be you in 10 years. Nobody grows up in dreams to work as a janitor or clean a McDonald's, but sometimes you have to. You gotta swallow your fucking pride and you gotta do shit you don't want to do. If this person can't be happy about having to work this job already, why make it more difficult for them? But I do understand the opposite argument of, well, if I don't make a mess, then there's nothing for them to clean.
Yeah, but there's making a mess, and then there's taking the piss.
yeah, exactly.
Like, you can't just, like, smear shit up a wall and then say, there's your wage for the day. Like, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah, no, because there's a, come on, man, there's a fucking level, dude. You know, there's just some things that's like going, hey, are you thirsty? Yeah, sure. Alright, you want a ginger ale? Oh yeah, that'd be great. You grab the can and you fucking shake it as much as you can before you hand it to them, dude. Like, what kind of asshole shit is that? Who does that? It's ridiculous.
Sad thing is, I think there's more people that are like that now as well, isn't it? Like, there's just more and more people that just, they don't have any sense of, like, respect.
But see, this reminds me of the Louis C.K. thing. I think he was on Conan, one of the late night shows Louis C.K. was on. And he said he felt like, because he has 2 daughters, he was talking about cell phones and the age of the internet. And he was like, dude, people are more douchey now. Like, he said, paraphrasing, he said that people have always been douchebags. Because of social media, though, there's been a magnifying glass put on these douchebags, and now everybody has a voice. He goes, but the problem is, there's no repercussions. Like, the way that people act, a lot of people do this, very few people do this actually to your face. It happens more so online, but I think the reason why people act like this is because we're more comfortable now with the ability of going, hey, fuck you, I hope you die. And then there's no immediate reaction. Like you were saying...
Well, what I would say about this is that what we were sort of saying about earlier is that you could say that to the wrong person online and they'll get your IP address and track you down and come to you.
Well, see, that's the other thing, too. He didn't mention that. That is a possibility, 100%. But
I've had arguments with people online before, and then afterwards I'm like, is it really worth all that for whatever it is, like, because I want to get the last word, or say that my ego got the better of that person? Because then I have thoughts of, like, what if they come or track down where, like, my kids are or something? Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think people always think like that.
No, of course not. Because that's some shit that only happens in the movies. Right? People don't...
Well, that's what you think. That's what you think.
Yeah, but no, but you see, that would be my luck, is that would happen. I would get into an argument with somebody and they would get really mad. They would come find where I live. Like, there's worse ways to go out, I guess. But, I mean, it is crazy that that's a real...
When you do it for things, like, you look at it afterwards and think, I brought all of this aggro and shit on into my life just because I wanted to, like, get the upper hand on someone in, like, a discussion or something because we disagreed, and I wanted to be the one to be like, I'm right, you're not, and because of that you've got all this fucking beef with someone now, or, like, a lot of the time it doesn't make sense, but I'm still guilty of it. Like, there's still times where I get caught up in, like, a comment or something, and I'm like, what am I doing? Like,
yeah, but we all do. Every one of us does it, though, dude. If it's not online, it's in our real lives, and we find ourselves mumbling as we're walking out of the fucking store. Stupid fucking asshole gonna tell me.
At least you got on a live stream and offered a plane trip for me.
But you see what I mean? Like, dude, that's the perfect example, though. Actually, is because everything got blown way out of proportion. But then again, I don't like the fact that we're not allowed to argue anymore. Like, you can't just have an argument with somebody now without, like, you hate your guts and it's war forever. Like, what happened to, you know, you have a disagreement about something, you have an argument, you call each other a couple things, you leave, you get your heads together, you come back and you go, I was a fucking dickhead, you know, whatever. And then you squash it. But now, because of the internet, it's almost like every situation you're in, there's immediately a circle of people around you going, fight, 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 fight. Like, there's none of that. There's no normal interact. I'm not even saying that, you know, oh, well, it's a great thing to argue and say you're gonna buy plane tickets to go smack somebody halfway across the world. That's severely ignorant. But, and I leave that up because I want people to see that it's a good thing if you flying off the handle is not a good thing. Looking at your actions and things that you said and what you could do different, and then go back and owning your shit. Own your shit. That's what I had to do. I have a lot going on in my life. That's not an excuse. I can point at 100 things and say, all of this is the reason why. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter because I lost control of myself and said shit I shouldn't have said, but I understand. I owned up to it, and you accepted that, which is a big thing to do. Maybe a lot of people wouldn't, but there is also none of that anymore either. There's no real personal responsibility anymore. Everything is everybody else's fault. No, I said some fucked up shit and I acted in a certain way that I should not have acted. So now I have to eat. Well, you know what? If I could real quick, since we're on the topic of eating my words, there's something I want to bring up. Okay. Saturday, Tim Dillon had on Little Xan on his podcast. And I have to be honest.
That mumble rapper.
Yeah. Now, I'm going to tell you the truth. I was in Tim Dillon's comments on Instagram, and I called the kid a jerk off, and I was like, the only reason I'm even going to listen to this horse shit is because of Tim. Out of respect for Tim, I'll listen to this fucking idiot. And now I have to eat my words. Please don't hear me wrong. I am not going to be a fan of the music. I'm not going to buy the records. I will never listen to anything this kid makes. However, I have to take back some things that I said. The kid is not a jerk off. He seems to have a head on his fucking shoulders. You know, he's sober now for I don't know how many months. I think 20 months, something like that, maybe less. But to my surprise, he was the exact opposite of everything I thought he was going to be. Like, he goes, you know, I had a problem with the Xanax, and, you know, people think just because this is what... Now, there's two sides to this argument. On one end, it pisses me off because you're trying to avoid responsibility. On the other end, I see what you're saying, but he's like, I don't want kids to be influenced by me and think that they have to live their life the way that I was living my life. You know, taking Xanax and Oxys or whatever. At the same time, though, dude, you know your role. You know where you are, so you can't just pretend that responsibility isn't there. Having said that, though, this kid went on this guy's show and basically said, like, dude, I'm not perfect. I fucked up and I've done fucked up shit, but he's trying to straighten his fucking life out, and I have to eat my own words because I called the kid a jerk off, and I assumed because he made mumble rap music that the kid wouldn't be able to put a sentence together, and that's not true. I'm not saying that we're going to be best friends or that the kid has even heard anything I've ever said about him, but I wanted to make it a point to publicly address the fact that I was talking shit on this kid, and he turned out to be opposite of what I thought he was, which is why you should never judge somebody based on just the music they make or what they look like. But I just want to get that out of the way.
I've had that with things. I can't remember anyone specific, but like maybe like an athlete or something I've watched an interview of, and beforehand I'm like, it's hard to even click on it, isn't it? Because you have a preconception or ideas of this person for whatever reason. And then you start, and then I've had it as well, and I'm like, oh, it's actually not what I was expecting.
Yeah.
And then you might even have similarities in terms of things that struggles or whatever, but then it's a good thing because sometimes you've had this for years, you don't like this person, and sometimes you can't even remember specifically why.
You don't even know why. It could have been one offhanded comment the guy made in an interview 20 years ago, and that's just sitting in the back of your mind the entire time for no reason. It's so stupid, but I do enjoy
it. Is good, though, because it gives you it in a weird way. It lifts a bit of weight off your shoulders that you had there for whatever reason, and that's now gone, and now you're probably a fan of theirs, which is a positive. But I wanted to just ask you something as well, but with celebrities and athletes and famous people, do you think that they should get the criticism that they get in terms of being a role model and that, or do you think that that's a fault of the media pumping them out as much as they do? Do you think they should be allowed to be as successful as they are without all the criticism and the stuff that they get slammed on in terms of being a role model for like kids and stuff. Because at the end of the day, it is a job, isn't it? Like, they might be getting paid to do something they love, but do you think that they should get a lot of the like criticism and stuff that they get because they're so magnified in the media, or do you think that that's the media's fault for giving them that spotlight in the first place so much?
Yes, no, and both. Like, all right, this is a great question because it's a loaded question.
Because I don't really know where I sit on it. Like, I feel a bit of both. Like,
yeah, here's where I'm at. I think the criticism of the relationships and the marriages and stuff, that's not fair. Leave that shit alone. Those, famous or not famous, every person deserves to have a private life. And the fact that the media constantly makes it so these people can't even leave their homes is disgusting. Now, at the same time, once you hit a certain level of fame, I think whether you want it or not, you have to accept the fact that people are gonna look up to you. I'm not saying if you're gonna do shit, you're gonna do it, right? Like, maybe you're I don't know, I'm trying to think. Like, say pick a famous actor. Let's say Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt, yeah. Let's say Brad Pitt does a shitload of cocaine, but he doesn't do it publicly. He does it privately in his own life. Okay, that's not a great thing. If he's not going out of his way to be like, you know, I get how fame goes to your head, and it's easy to be a Justin Bieber and piss in mop buckets or be completely off of your head, fucked up. But I mean, there's got to be a little bit of leeway. It's not fair. It's not fair to a person to go, here's this money for this movie you made, this song that you wrote, whatever it is. Oh, and by the way, you now have 1 million people, 1 million children look up to you. Like, wait, what? I don't know what to do with that. What do you mean they look up to me? Why? I just did a movie. I just wrote a song. I don't know how to react with children. You know, like shit like that. You have to, and there should be an adjustment period too for fame. You should allow these people to get used to going from what their life was to what their life is now. So, I mean, I do think it is overhyped. The media does way too much to make these people seem overly important. Everybody is important, obviously, but there's too much. There's no reason. I don't care who got fat. I don't give a shit who is getting divorced. If you're going through a divorce, or if you're getting married, you're having a kid, you cheat on your wife, your husband, all of those situations are difficult enough to deal with on their own without having the prying eyes of a fucking camera and somebody who has no respect for you at all whatsoever. And not to mention, I think if you ask most of the fans, I think most people would say that they would rather not have this lens dug so deep into these people's lives. Now, I know in the age of technology and social media, you're probably like, dude, well, that's the craziest shit I've ever heard. People love to watch other people in their life, which is why reality TV is so big. I agree with you, but at the same time, I think if you really sat somebody down and had a conversation with everybody individually and you hashed out the pros and cons, I think more people would come around to the idea that there should be more privacy and we should not be relying so heavily on famous people, especially because, I mean, we know parents just dump their children in front of the televisions, and that's another reason why the media has been able to make famous people so fucking famous, because there's always a set of eyeballs in front of that television. So while we can't 100% blame the media for everything, we have to take some responsibility ourselves. It needs to be a collaborative effort that is met in the middle. where we don't spend so much time watching and idolizing people, and yet at the same time we have to understand that even if you are famous, you are still only a person. And just because you have more money than most people doesn't mean that you're above making terrible mistakes or that you should be idolized, because no one person should be idolized. Rather, I think the actions of that person is what should speak louder than anything. Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, I heard on Mark Maron's podcast, those two dudes seem like the fucking nicest guys in the world. Funny dudes. I was very surprised that they actually seemed that fucking cool. But to hear them talking about, like, they were talking about they had faces made for them, dude. Like, they
I
went.
did listen to some of that. I remember you told me about it. I don't think I listened to all of it, but I did listen to a bit of it. It is interesting to get it from, like, their actual, like, side of it.
Like, that's so. When you have to get a face made for your face because you can't leave the house, something's wrong with that. Could you imagine living there? I worry all the time. Like, I hope where I'm out, somebody doesn't see one of my videos and be like, oh, you fucking said this, and this thing about this that I don't really like that. I can't imagine being somebody that's been seen.
I think it's a bit, like, crazy, though, is that some people can't control themselves in terms of, like, if they meet their like, celebrity idol, like, people go crazy. I've seen it when I used to do my job, like, we have, like, bands or whatever in, and people will, like, literally do anything to just speak to them, or, like, but then at the same time, if something was happening online or something, they might be, like, angry because that celebrity's personal life is getting, like, put out in the media. But then in real life, if they got to meet them, they wouldn't have that control that they have online, and that's not a good thing in my opinion, because you've got it online and you're saying one thing, but then in person you're like a whole different person to them, and I think that's a bit crazy.
No, yeah, it is. I mean, I've never really come in contact with anybody famous. I think the most famous.
I've got to tell you about something personally I've done in a minute, but I'll let you go ahead first.
I was gonna say one of the only famous people I think I've ever. I didn't even meet him. I happened to see him. It was the ICP, the group ICP. One of them dudes' brother was walking around in the Freehold Mall, had a fucking one of their shirts on, and I recognized the dude from the movies and the videos and the shit. And he saw the shirt. When he passed me, I saw, for a moment, he had that look in his eyes like, oh, am I about to get my spot blown up right now? And I was just like, hey, what's up, dude? And I just kept going because I was like, if I was him, that's how I would want somebody to do. Just treat me like I'm normal. That's all I want. And, he went his way, I went my way, and I don't know if it ever even registered on his radar, but, for whatever that's worth. I was going to say,
I had, me and my mum, we was talking about it the other day. We used to be, have, like, season tickets to, like, what you guys call soccer. We call it football.
Football, yeah.
And we went to a fast food place to get some food, and one of the players was actually in the queue, like, just out and about one night.
Shit.
And he was, like, not mega famous, but enough to, in, like, where we were from, to be, like, get a lot of attention.
That's a big deal, yeah.
And I turned behind and noticed him, like, he's back further than us. And I said to my mum, I was like, that's, said his name to my mum and that. She's like, oh, yeah. But I didn't run up to him and be like, ah!
Yeah.
Because, like you said, I was like, put myself in his position. I wouldn't want all that. And I'm thinking he might have already had all that shit today anyway. If he's been out and about, people just coming up to him for an autograph. And even though I was a mega, like, fan and that, I didn't even go over to him and even ask for a picture or nothing, because I wouldn't want that. And I get embarrassed by that. When I see other people doing it, I understand they get excited because it's like their motivation and inspiration and that. But I would find that embarrassing to act like that around someone, regardless of like, even if it was like Michael Jordan or someone who I look up to. I would never run over to them and be like screaming and all that. Do you know what I mean? I might be like, maybe I would ask for a picture or something, but I wouldn't be like ask for a picture and then stand there for like an hour and just push my luck. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I see that all the time with other people, like with, and I get they get excited, but you got to have that respect. Like they would probably happily take a picture in that, but when you do that and then you want to speak to them for 2 hours on the spot, do you know what I mean? And sometimes they might even have their girlfriend or their kids with them, and you just expect them to drop everything so they can talk to you about their life.
The amount of stories that I've heard of people saying, I'm out to dinner and motherfuckers are coming up to me while I'm with my family, talk about, can I get a picture? And I seen you on this, and then like, bro, I'm with my, what do you mean? Like,
Well, I've heard it with Eminem a lot. He said it a lot in his interviews, where he said it in the Way I Am song, where he's like, I can't even take his shit without someone like
standing by it. And he did he did a song with Exhibit. I don't know if you've ever heard it. This actually would be a really good song for you to read.
What's it called? I think I know what one you mean.
Oh, god damn it.
Don't approach me.
Yeah, there it is. There it is, where he's like, do I gotta buy, guns and shit just to go out to my mailbox? Like, what is this bullshit? I feel bad for him too, dude, because it doesn't, even though he's not anywhere near the level of famous he was before, he can't go nowhere. Forever.
And can you imagine how many people want to date his daughter just to say that they've dated his daughter?
Oh, I feel so bad for her, dude. I've never looked up a picture of her. I don't even want to know what she looks like.
I've seen a couple, but not in terms of like searching for it. Just like they popped up or whatever, just on like YouTube or whatever. But
yeah, like I don't want. It kills me when I put in somebody's name in a Google search and then I see net worth. I don't like that. Or family, or wife, or like, I felt bad because Bill Burr on his podcast would talk about his wife a lot. And, he's a pasty white guy, she's a black woman. So I'm like kind of curious, like, oh, what do they look like together? But I don't feel comfortable looking that up. I feel like, that's not my business.
And you know what's sick about that as well? People would probably do that, look up who his wife is, and then go to her, even if she's on her own. If they see her in public, they would go to her and try and get information on Bill Burr because they're fans of Bill Burr. And then they're affecting her life without even really realising it. They're thinking they're not, like, and that's offensive as well. Like,
Bert Kreischer.
Like, you're not this mega person on a pedestal for me. You're my husband. So they don't even look at them like that. But yet they've got that person's fans coming at them about their partner and that must be horrible.
Bert Kreischer tells a story on the special Hey Big Boy that he just put out this year. He tells a story about going into a Starbucks and going to get a coffee, and the guy behind the counter is freaking out. He's like, oh shit, I know you, right? Like he's freaking out. Bert gets up to the counter and he's like, you know Joe Rogan, like, you're friends with Joe Rogan. And he's like, well, I thought you were going crazy because of me. He was like, oh, well, I mean, you're okay. I tried to watch your stand-up, but you're not funny. But Rogan and Segura and all these people. He's like, hey, I'm funny. Fuck you, guy. Like, and that's what the whole bit turns into. Is like, oh, well, now I gotta get this motherfucker to laugh now because you're trying to say that my friends are funnier than me. But there's also that aspect of it, too, which is, like, even Joey Diaz talk about people on Facebook trying to get to me because they can't get to Rogan, and can you give Rogan my number or my, like, that's the fact that anybody would even think that message through is horrifying. But I mean, come on, dude.
I mean, the levels people are still like just drop to like to get to do things like that. It's just like they've got no self-respect. Like,
no,
it's like they almost look at themselves as not human or worth anything, so they don't care about what they have to do to get close to that person that they look at as like a god, or do you know what I mean? It's just
like I get being nervous, right? I could understand getting nervous about being around somebody famous. You're not famous, and when we do this shit, I get nervous. I can't imagine what it would be like if somebody famous came in here and tried to do some shit. So I get that part of it, but they are just people. It just so happens.
I think you can still get starstruck by someone, but you don't have to be a child about it. You know
Well,
what I mean?
yeah, that's true. That, like, dude, if I saw Joey Diaz move back to New Jersey, if I saw that fucking guy out somewhere, I don't even want to stop. I don't even want to stop him to get a picture. I just want to say hi to him and just keep it going, dude. Because I would rather have. It's not about the impression that he leaves on me, because I already have one from listening to his comedy and.
And I think what I find interesting about that is, I'd like to think that sometimes, like you said earlier with that ICP dude, like, you would probably think that a lot of the time they know if you know who they are.
Yeah.
How you look. And because of that, they appreciate it more because they know as well, like, he probably wanted to come and talk to me and all that, but I respect that guy, so if I see him again, I might even approach him. Because,
that's what I mean, dude.
He didn't bother me, and I know that he wanted to stop and talk. And
I would much rather have them walk away going, well, at least there's still somebody with a little fucking respect in the world.
Yeah.
And, you know, if I happen to see them again, cool. But even if not, it's nice to, like, that's a positive thing that I could do for this. It's a bit of a role reversal, right? Even though, you know, everybody knows who they are, nobody knows who I am, it still is cool to be able to be like, yeah, you're famous, but, you know, don't worry about it. Not a big deal.
Did you hear about that bloke that got into Eminem's house? I think it was last year.
What?
I saw it a few months back. He was wherever his house is. I don't know if it's Detroit anymore. I think it's in Michigan. He's got like a mansion, I think, and this bloke, like, he's got security out like on his drive or something. Apparently they fell asleep. This is all like online. You can search.
Shut the fuck up.
And they're like at the door or whatever, and they fell asleep. So this guy has somehow got into it. I think he got through the kitchen window or something. What? Eminem himself has gone into the front room and caught this dude coming into the front room to come and, like, basically find him, to talk to him or whatever. Eminem has told him to, like, fuck off to his face because his security are asleep.
That's crazy.
I'll try and find it, but if you, like, search it.
Yeah, I just put it in and it came right up, dude. That is I can't believe I didn't hear about this. Well, I mean, I don't have my.
I saw it a few months back, but I thought, I wish there was footage of, like, I don't want to, like, invade his privacy, but I wanted to see, like, footage of, like, him on camera, like, going to smack him or something, like, get the fuck out of the house.
Man who broke into Eminem's Clinton Township home and told the rapper that he was there to kill him.
Yeah, like, the security, I think they're meant to be at, like, the gate or something of the house, and they were asleep, so that guy got through.
Well, where's this motherfucker from?
I don't know.
Dude, he looks like somebody that I know for real. Holy shit, that's scary. I know this is not the dude that I think it is, but there's a guy that works at a gas station around here that is this dude's doppelganger. 100%, dude. 100%.
Like, you never know, but I'm just thinking, because this was quite recent, can you imagine if that had happened when Eminem was on drugs and everything?
I was just thinking.
Probably would have killed him.
I was just thinking that when you said it before, if he would have still been fucked up on the pills, dude, he probably would be dead by now. That guy would have killed him. I testified in court.
When I first saw it, I thought, this can't be true, because the amount of security and how hard it must be to get to him. But then you read that, and it only sounds like there was like 1 or 2 security people, and they're asleep. And because of that, mate, he's literally in his front room with Eminem. Like.
So both of the Clinton Township Police Department testified in court Wednesday. Security footage from Eminem's home showed a man walking around the home looking for a possible entry point, eventually throwing something through the window to get inside. Authorities said it was a brick paver that he threw through the back of the window to get in. They told the judge that he was identified the man from the footage. Eminem was home of the alleged break-in. He woke up to the guy standing over him but thought it was his nephew. Get the fuck out of here, dude. I think I'd have killed him. And I'm not a tough dude. I mean, just out of instinct, bro. God forbid you have a knife under your pillow.
Reading that he was like asleep. I thought I read that he'd come down to the noise and like saw him in the front room or something. But regardless of how it was, like he's having them. Do you know what I mean? Even if the security wake up at that point, he could be dead by then.
Oh my god, dude, that is fucking terrifying. Do you know how long it would take me to be able to go to sleep again?
Like I thought that sort of thing would never happen to Eminem because of who he is, but it sounds like he only had maybe one guard there. Like that's mental.
Yeah, holy shit. Let's see, where is I at? Eminem real name is Marshall, but I asked him. I was standing over him, but he thought it was his nephew. When Mr. Mathers asked him why he was there, he was told that he was there to kill him. Eminem has a 24-hour security on his property. The responding officer arrived at the scene. Eminem and his security guards were waiting outside. Quinn later assigned as an officer in charge of the case. It says this dude was bound over on a charge of first-degree home invasion, a 20-year felony, and a malicious destruction of a building of $1,000 or more fine, and a 5-year felony. Defense requested that he pay $50,000. His defense requested that the $50,000 bond be reduced, but that request was denied, and a hearing is scheduled for September 28th.
Thing is, what I don't get with that is how did he even get onto the premises? Like, he shouldn't even be able to get onto the land. I don't get it. Like,
I'll tell you this, dude.
Into the fucking house, let alone the land.
Whoever those fucking security guards are better go figure out a way to flip fucking burgers, because every one of those cunts would be fired. Every one of them. Unless you were in my house where I specifically put you, and let's say I put you outside of my daughter's room. If that's where you are, maybe you didn't hear the noise, but I would rather you stay there. Maybe they had specific orders. If you hear anything, don't move. Like, what are these guys doing? You said they were asleep. What the fuck am I paying you for? I understand, but this is the problem. This is the problem.
There's only one way to get to the house. Like, if there's no back entrance or whatever, and they're at the gate, they have to go past you to get into the house anyway. And like you said, you failed. The one thing you had to do, you failed.
I mean, how do you?
Crazy to me, because it sounds like it was maybe one guard. I'm surprised you don't have more than that, and the fact that you can even get close to the gate anyway, like that's crazy.
Dude, can you imagine waking up to a stranger standing above you, dude? I don't know what I would do. I really, honestly, I really don't. That person should be happy that he's not dead. With all the shit that Eminem talks, I honestly would expect that guy to have a gun under his pillow. Like, in all seriousness, being who he is, how do you know that guy's not going to pull a gun out and shoot you in the fucking face? Now, this dude's obviously mental and didn't care to think about that. But even still, now, he would have to have that on his conscience forever. I had to shoot this kid in the face because he broke into my house. Just because the guy was Looney Tunes doesn't make it any easier to accept the fact that you had to shoot him. Like, that's a scary thought, man. Really, it just goes to show you, though, you could have all the security in the world. If somebody wants you, they will get you. It's only a matter of time.
I mean, it just sounds to me, though, that he didn't have enough security there. It sounds like it was one person.
I think Eminem, personally, Eminem strikes me as the kind of guy that's like, all right, I'll have a little security. I'm gonna be
But that's
fine.
crazy to me because I think he's got to know the level that he's at in terms of people wanting to get to him.
Yeah.
He has to, like, I don't understand that. Like, I think that back in the day it would have been more like that, but now I would think like he would have to have at least like 3 or 4 like people around him at all times.
Well, the only reason why I say that too is in the beginning it might have been pride. Like I can protect myself. I'm not a baby, right? It starts with pride, and then as his career goes on, like now, he's still one of the greatest to ever do it. I'm not saying anything wrong about the guy, but his fame isn't what it was. So maybe he thinks like, well, because I'm not as big as I was at one time, I probably don't have to worry about the crazies as much as I did before. Not saying that he actually thinks that, but if he did, I could see how you could arrive at that train of thought. So maybe he was like, I don't want to speculate, but I do feel bad that guy can't just fucking, you can't even leave him alone in his house, dude. Like, you have to, why? I don't understand, it's so depressing. That makes me, like, want to quit everything. Like, what is the point? If all of this is going to lead to is eventually some guy standing over your bed saying, I'm here to kill you because you happen to get an extremely lucky break and Dre heard your fucking demo and now you've been making music for like 25 years. Now I got to kill you. Like, Jesus.
Can you imagine as well if like his daughter was like still young at that time and that happened and she's like in the room with him, like maybe she slept in his bed or whatever because she's little, and then that happens and you wake up and like not only are you trying to kill him but his kid's there, like
dude, like you knowing I have a kid and you break into this house, you just sign your death warrant. That's how I feel. Like everybody feels like that. Right? Like I think that's just natural. Like I'm gonna protect everything no matter what. And of course nobody wants to, I shouldn't say, the average person doesn't want to hurt other people. Yeah. But there are a lot of, sick fucks in the world.
The problems he's had in his life of like Proof dying and like just his drug problem and that, like when something like that happens, he must think like, wow, I could have died. Do you know what I mean? And that must screw with his head, like to be like,
how many chances am I getting?
Yeah, and even to the point of like you said a minute ago, what's the fucking point in all this? I could have been dead tonight. I might as well just do it myself. Like, that sort of thing could play into his head because he's like now might live in fear that it's going to happen again.
Yeah, how do you not? Yeah. I mean, how do you not from the first moment that you're on tour, right? And I was saying the Slim Shady LP comes out. Now this is your first tour that you're on. For the first time in your life, somebody runs up onto you and says, you're the greatest at, let's just pretend it was an over-enthusiastic fan. That was just like, I heard your album, you're the best, I love your music. And what I'm saying is, how do you not get freaked out about every interaction that you could potentially have after that? I think I would feel like I would have to constantly watch every centimeter of the room worrying about, is somebody gonna...
It's like we were saying earlier when I was saying about being on edge and you was like saying you had the same thing when you used to go out with go to town and out with your partner and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like that, but like millions of times more, isn't it? Because
yeah, and it could be, and
just at you, like.
And the worst part is it's not just a woman thing. It could be a guy. It could be a guy too. So you're not even, it could be anybody. So now you're like, oh great. At least if you were, I mean, I'm sure I'm trying to think of like somebody that's supposedly, big and sexy, whatever. But, like the dude that played Aquaman. Say you're the guy that played Aquaman, dude, and, like you're used to women breaking their neck to try to get with you and shit. you can accept that there are dudes come after you too, because, you know, gay dudes will be interested too. But this is like a whole nother level, because there's no sexual attraction to it, so it literally could be anybody of any size. It doesn't matter. It could be a not a 5-year-old kid, but you know what I mean. It could be anybody. You have no idea what it is that you're walking into, dude. And
can you imagine how many like times when like his daughter and that was young, that he'd be out doing stuff with her, and then it just gets ruined.
I really hope that he found a way to try to give her I guess a normal. I don't know how you give a normal childhood to somebody whose father is as famous as him. I hope though.
I remembered. I read recently her graduation. He went there and he sat in a classroom because they did it on like the football field or something.
Yeah.
He sat in a classroom in the building and watched through the window so he didn't attract all the attention and get everyone at him.
Come
for his own daughter's
on.
graduation.
You couldn't let the fucker. He shouldn't have to miss that. What the fuck?
I think he witnessed it, but he wasn't.
It's
like,
not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, you want to be there around everybody because that's the whole purpose of the fucking ceremony, man. This guy gave you how many albums? How many albums this motherfucker give you? And you can't let him go to his daughter's graduation, you fucking cunts? The fuck is the matter with you?
He probably sat in that room with the lights off as well.
Ugh. I feel so...
Because if he's got a light on, someone's going to be like, oh, look. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Things like that. He's probably sat in a dark room
Ugh.
witnessing something that should be a special moment.
Dude, that shit breaks my heart. That shit breaks my heart, dude. Like, I feel like I want to cry for him, and it's not even my kid. You know,
and
anybody.
She probably knows that as well, innit? She knows as well that he's there witnessing it, but she can't get
She can't see him.
She wants to either.
She has to look down and go, oh, he's behind that window over there. And you know, in the back of her mind, she's like, you know, can I have one normal moment in life?
She can't even have a moment where she goes and like gives him a hug or anything.
Yeah, but that's like, yeah, like what the fuck, man? I was gonna say, like, I hope that. Can you even? I don't think you can. There's no way to make up for, I guess, the run-of-the-mill shit that most people take advantage. I mean, not advantage. They take for granted.
That just makes me sad. Like I said a minute ago, I could just imagine like he used to take her out publicly at the height of his fame.
Dude, I would never do that.
And she's like, Dad, why have we got to leave? And then he's got to try and explain it to her, and then it's eating away. He must feel like guilty as a parent because he can't do normal things with her, and because she's a kid, she probably don't understand it. That's just
but that's the worst part of it too, dude. Is like, okay, on one hand, we can't do normal things together, but on the other hand, you'll never want for a goddamn thing. Well, that's not true, because the one thing that you... Ain't that a bitch? The one thing that you want, money can't buy. The
like,
one
you can't
thing...
even take it to like a park or something. Do you know what I mean? We're not even talking about mega things. You can't even like go to a supermarket. Like,
but that's... dude, she has the option to literally whatever she wants. He could do... I'm not even saying he probably would, because I don't think a good parent would. Say what you want about the guy, I don't know him, but just from the shit that he's said and the way that people speak about him, I think he is a good parent. So I don't think he would just get her whatever the fuck she feels like having. But it's the point that, you know, she can have anything in the world, and the one thing that she wants, you can't buy your father watching your graduation.
Earlier, she will look at him and think, you might be a megastar to these people,
but you're still just my dad. You're still my lame dad, dude.
That's crazy, like, but
yeah,
like to her, like he might get all like confident and stuff about. She's like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
The only people that can say that to him, and he'll be like, she just sat me down.
Bro, can you imagine they get into an argument about some shit, And I'd be like, dude, do you realize who I am? I'd be like, ask me if I give a fuck how many records you sold. I don't care. You wake up, oh cool, you're friends with Dr. Dre. We heard you. What else you got? His daughter breaking his balls, dude. That's the funniest shit in the world. Bro, the fucking people that she probably, can you imagine being a little girl, being in the studio, and, you know, you meet all these people, all these famous, that are, like, huge stars to him, and she's like, I don't know who any of these people are. Just to be able to watch her be able to do that must have been, I mean, I guess, in a way, I suppose they must have had experiences that you can trade, like, her getting to go into the studio and to meet all of these super famous guys, which don't really mean much to her, but as she gets older, she can look back at that and be like, dude, when I was a kid, I hung out with some of the most famous people in the world. And while that sucks, it can't equal out to him watching her graduation or they go to a park together. She can at least say, like, I got to do, it was a trade that I didn't get to make, but I got to experience some things that most people will never experience in their life. Like, she knows these people on such a level. Oh, God.
I was just going to say, isn't that disgusting, though, that even if you're a fan of his, like, if you see him out with his daughter and that you can't see it in your head that, like...
To leave him the fuck alone.
Yeah, like, it's bad enough if you do it when they're on their own, if you're, like, just taking the piss for ages and taking up all their time. But when you see that they're out with their kid and that, I just don't understand, even if you're a big fan of theirs, like, this isn't the time.
Yeah, no, dude, I don't... I would go out of my way to avoid them, I think, dude. I don't... Because I wouldn't want to do that, man. You know, like... Yeah, I'm sure it does great things for your ego, for you to be like, oh, well, this person likes what I do, and that's great, but I'd rather just leave you alone and let you live a fucking normal life. Even if only for 5 minutes you go, oh, I'm just a regular asshole like everyone else. At least I know I didn't ruin that. I didn't contribute to ruining that for you. It just, I don't... That's the other thing, too. Why is it always that I've been sent to kill you? You know, Selena gets killed by a super fan. This guy breaks into Eminem's house. Why is it that...
That Selena thing, have you watched anything on that? That's messed up as well.
I was
doing a load of reactions to her, so I did a bit of research and watched the documentary.
I haven't watched it. I watched a movie that Jennifer Lopez did years ago where she played Selena. I don't think I ever watched the documentary, though.
I'll just give you, like, a quick little thing. Like, this woman was, like, a fan of her.
Didn't she work for her, or no?
She went to all her concerts and that, and she talked her way into working for her. She became her assistant, and the one that she spent all of her time with in the end, because she would do, like, all her, like, her money transactions and everything. And she's the one that killed her.
Wow.
Because she was so close to her. Like... She ended up being the one she spent the most time with.
Oh.
Like, first and foremost, she was an obsessed fan.
Oh. Well, dude, I mean, fuck, dude. Jesus. Because on one hand...
And you know what's even more messed up is, like, her dad was, like, in control of kind of her career before this woman come in. And, like, he had control over everything, really. But when this woman come in and sort of took over in terms of giving her advice and being her assistant, like, her dad sort of didn't watch her as much, and then
yeah, because if he would have kept his eye on what was going on, maybe he could have stopped it. But because I guess he figured...
Watch a documentary on it, it's crazy, like, and they interview her, I think, like, in prison and that, and yeah, like, it's just a crazy one.
I will definitely look it up and look for it, because I haven't watched it. I'm familiar with the story just because...
The sense I got from that as well, though, is that what I was saying to you earlier, like, the gullibleness of people. Like, it seemed like she was such a nice person that she thought everyone else couldn't be horrible.
Yeah, but that's a big downfall of Jen's too, dude, is she likes to only see the good in people. And unfortunately, if you're like that, if you're a person like that, you might not see this crazy person has infiltrated your life just because, you know, it sucks to look at. I know this is the balance, dude. The fucking yin and yang of being you or being me. Like, in the sense that, you know, everybody is great and all of that, or everybody is an enemy and, you know, nobody's safe and you can't trust anybody. That is such a fucking delicate thing to try to balance both of them, because if you shut everybody out, you die old, miserable, and alone. And if you let too many people in, you will never be able to build trust with anybody because everyone is just using you. And it doesn't matter. It took me a while to realize it doesn't matter what level you're on. I'm broke. I have nothing. And there are people that will use the little that I do have. And her, the little that she does have. It doesn't matter what level you're on. You don't have to be rich for people to use you and abuse your trust and make you not want to be around other people. But you have to learn to balance that. And I think that is the most difficult thing that we have to do. And I mean,
I
especially...
think the bad thing is with, like, people that look at it like that is they probably catch these people in the act of, like, certain things that they think's off about that person, but because they want to picture them as like that nice person, they make up things in their head to be like, oh no, I'm overreacting, they're not like that. And,
yeah.
And unfortunately, that can lead to fucking death in some cases.
And because the problem is, how do you know? There's no test you could take. There's not a temperature gun you could point at somebody's head and go, or this person is crazy enough to kill me, or they actually have good intentions. There's no way to know. So you have to, unfortunately, that's guesswork. And then at the same time, you have to hope every person that you fire is not somebody that's going to hold a vendetta that will later on come back and try to kill you. Even though it wasn't done intentionally. Like, you know, some things just don't work. For whatever reason. Oh, man.
I'm going to have to head off soon.
I was just about to...
wanted to speak about before we go?
No, I was just about to say, it just hit 1 o'clock, and I know you probably... We've been doing this for about 2 hours and 20 minutes, so... I mean, I think that's a fair enough spot to leave this at, because I gotta go eat. I haven't done any of that shit yet. So, this will be tomorrow's episode, and then we'll have to get back up, and we'll do the Halloween special. Okay, so
that probably, we'll talk about it off.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. So, look, you will be watching this on the 27th of October, UKNJ Project. Follow it on Twitter, the Instagram, BCHQ, Motivational Speaking, Reaction, Jack of One Trade, Laughing at Birds podcast. The one thing I do want to mention briefly before we go is the reactions are starting to come in again. I'm thinking maybe...
I'm gonna do that one as well that you sent me. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah, do that. I'm excited for you to do that. But I'm thinking maybe I pick a day out of the week. I only do 1 or 2 videos, and that's it. I don't want to go back to going crazy like I was before and drive myself nuts. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But I figured I would throw that out there because somebody... And for the record, let me just say, you don't have to subscribe to my channel for me to do whatever you're suggesting. I think that's nothing personal against anybody who has. I just feel like that's very disingenuous, and I don't I read the comments. I will do. I will listen
I think
to.
as well with that is if you do that, they might subscribe because you've said they only wanted to do that one request, so they never come back anyway.
Right, well, that's what happens, is they subscribe, you do the song that they want you to do, and then they unsubscribe and never come back. So what is the point? Just cut out the middleman and don't even bother. I'll just do it. But with that being said, we'll leave this here, and we will see you all next week or on Halloween, whatever comes first. Appreciate it. As always a fun time, dude. And we'll speak soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, man. Cheers. See you later.
Later.